Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're wrestling with something that I think is the single greatest source of friction in our daily lives, and that's self-control. It's
Yeah.
really that gap, isn't it, between our intentions and what we actually do, between who we want to be and, well, who we are when no one's watching.
Absolutely. And we're going to try to move beyond the usual self-help advice, the kind of motivational posters that just tell you to try harder.
Right.
Instead, we're diving straight into the physiological and neurological operating system that dictates what you actually do moment to moment.
The sources today give us this stunning level of detail, and our mission, it's almost surgical. We're extracting the exact tiny daily actions, what the research is calling the Quiet Forge protocol, that literally rewire your brain.
Yes, so that automatic execution starts to replace those fleeting good intentions.
The core insight, and this runs through all the material, is just so fundamental. Self-control, it's not some kind of, moral failing.
Or a virtue that only a few people have.
Exactly. The sources are clear. It is a capacity.
You should think of it less like a character trait and more like a physical resource. It can be trained like a muscle, it gets depleted like a battery, and this is the crucial part, it can be expanded like lung volume.
And the downstream effects of getting this right are just massive. I mean, you look at health, wealth, creativity, relationships.
Every single area of excellence, they're all built on this one foundational skill of being able to delay an impulse.
So to get the clearest, fastest results, we're going to use what our sources call the ultimate training ground for the nervous system.
Learning to control hunger and cravings. Because if you can train your brain to insert a pause when the desire for, say, sugar or scrolling hits you,
Then you can train it to pause before you overspend or, speak out in anger.
that's the idea.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We have to start by defining the battleground. Part one, the research calls this the 300 millisecond war, the neuroscience of the pause.
Right, so every decision you make is basically an inner civil war happening inside your skull. It's fought between three very different layers of your brain. You've got the ancient, super fast lizard brain. It's purely about survival and immediate reward. That's the I want it now voice.
Then there's the emotional mammalian brain, which is a bit more complex. It handles feelings, status, fear.
Yeah, that's the part that might trigger shame if you fail, or that fear of trying something new.
And then finally, the new player.
The prefrontal cortex, the PFC, this is the adult in the room. It's all about future planning, long-term values, abstract thought. But the problem is, it's slow.
And it takes a lot of energy. It's easily bypassed.
So easily. And this brings us to the critical measurement that I found just fascinating. The older, faster brains, they win almost every single time if we don't insert a gap.
And the sources are so precise on this. The time between the impulse, like you see your phone light up, and the action of picking it up. If that's less than about 300 milliseconds, it's over. The autopilot just takes control.
And this is the absolute genius of this whole approach. Self-control isn't about some kind of white-knuckled resistance.
Yeah.
It's the practiced mechanical art of inserting a pause that's just long enough, longer than that 300 millisecond window, so the PFC can wake up, get the data, and actually cast a vote on the decision.
Let's apply this to the most common battleground for so many of us. Cravings. When you're, say, trying to fast, most people think a craving is a sign of real physical distress, like their blood sugar's crashing.
That is almost never the case, especially if you have fuel reserves. What's actually screaming, and this is a really profound insight, is the prediction error in your mesolimbic dopamine pathway.
A prediction error. Break that down for us.
Okay, so think of dopamine less as the pleasure chemical and more as the seeking chemical. Your brain sets up 1,000 tiny expectations all day long.
Like I usually have a cookie at 3 p.m.
Exactly. Your brain predicts that reward. So when 3 p.m. rolls around and that reward hasn't arrived, the pathway throws a tantrum. It screams, "Alert! We expected something and it didn't happen."
So the craving isn't a command from my stomach saying, feed me.
No.
It's a broken notification from my brain's prediction system.
It's a software bug, not a command. And if you can really internalize that cravings are just outdated predictions you no longer have to fulfill, you instantly gain sovereignty over them.
This connects so perfectly to what the sources say is the deepest lever for change, which is identity.
Yes. If you believe I'm someone who always caves to sugar, you've already set your system up for failure.
Which is why the micro actions we're about to cover are so crucial. The formula for real change seems to be New identity leads to new standards.
Which leads to new processes, which gets you new outcomes. These little actions aren't just for temporary results. They provide undeniable physical proof to your nervous system that the old identity, the I cave at 8 p.m. identity, is dead.
So if the science tells us the pause is everything, let's get into the tools. We're moving to part 2, the Quiet Forge Protocol. These are tools designed for immediate impulse interruption.
The first one is the simplest, and it's surprisingly effective. It's the 10-breath rule. Anytime you notice an urge for food, the phone, the urge to snap at someone, you have to force yourself to take 10 slow, deep nasal breaths before you move a muscle.
10 breaths. I mean, it sounds so simple. And yet the research is claiming, what, a 90% plus success rate? Even on low willpower days. What's the magic there?
It's purely mechanical. Those 10 breaths force a pause that's way beyond that 300 millisecond threshold. That physical action consistently activates the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the VMPFC.
Okay, so what's that doing?
Think of the basal ganglia as the old operating system running the default program. The VMPFC is like a momentary software patch that delays the execute command just long enough for the PFC to come online.
That's a powerful distinction. It's not meditation, it's a neurological delay tactic.
Precisely. The second tool is verbal label out loud. When an urge is really strong, you say the impulse aloud, but in a flat third-person voice.
For example?
Something like, this is a dopamine prediction error about seeking the instant gratification of social media.
And why does saying it out loud help so much? Isn't that just talking to yourself?
Well, when you name the impulse, you recruit the left prefrontal cortex. This simple act of labeling immediately reduces activity in the amygdala. The emotion and fear center by a significant amount, like 30 to 50% within seconds.
So you're taking this raw emotional urge and turning it into an object you can observe.
Exactly. You pull it out of the driver's seat so it stops driving your behavior.
That is so actionable. Third one up is the 2-minute physical shift.
Urges are intensely tied to context, to your environment. So if you feel the urge, change your posture or your location for just 120 seconds. Stand up, walk into another room, do a quick set of squats.
So if the impulse hits you at your desk...
Just getting out of that context, even for a moment, often breaks the very association that triggered the urge.
I love that. You're using your body to interrupt your mind, instead of using a tired mind to fight your body.
And finally, we have to talk about upstream decisions. The temptation distance hack. This is all about recognizing that willpower is a finite, limited resource.
So you never want to rely on it when you're in the danger zone.
Never. If you know late-night cookies are your downfall, the hack isn't about resisting the cookie in the cupboard.
It's about the decision you make at the grocery store not to buy them in the first place.
One decision, made when you're calm and rational, miles upstream of the impulse, beats 1,000 painful decisions when you're tired and stressed. You're engineering a reality where the hard choice isn't even an option.
Okay, let's focus these tools specifically on hunger. This takes us to part 3. Craving interruption and hunger clarification. If the brain is seeking dopamine, we need some non-food substitutes.
And one of the fastest resets available is the cold exposure microdose.
Okay.
Just splash 15 to 20 seconds of cold water on your wrists or your face.
That sounds aggressive for a simple craving. What's happening inside the body?
You get this immediate, powerful spike of norepinephrine and dopamine. It's a high-intensity sensory input that satisfies the brain's seeking system, the part demanding novelty, but it does it without any calories. The success rate on this for neutralizing a craving is around 80%.
Another great one from the sources is using identity feedback with the victory log.
Right. When the craving hits, you open your Notes app and just write down one thing you already did today that required self-control.
So instead of focusing on the craving, this perceived failure in the moment, you shift your attention to an existing win.
Exactly. Your brain registers, oh, wait, I have verifiable proof that I'm the kind of person who follows through. This instant internal proof just drains the power from that prediction error that's telling you you're weak.
The sources also mention other sensory peak substitutions. Things like intense music or smelling peppermint oil or doing 20 push-ups.
Anything to hijack those reward circuits away from food.
The next step is clarification, distinguishing true hunger from, emotional or habitual hunger. There's a tool for this called the 11-point body scan.
Yes. You set a periodic alarm, maybe once an hour. When it goes off, you just ask, where exactly do I feel this sensation? Is it a tightness in my throat? Is it a rumbling in my stomach? Jaw tension.
And the key finding here is just stunning.
It is. The research shows that when people do this, 85% of what they first labeled stomach hunger actually moves. It relocates to the jaw, the head, or the chest.
Highlighting that it wasn't simple gastric need at all. It was boredom or stress.
Or just a habit. But sometimes it is physiological, just not hunger. Which brings us to action 6. Hydration plus electrolyte micro-ritual.
Right.
Keep a specific bottle with a pinch of sea salt and maybe some lemon. A huge portion of what feels like early hunger is actually just mild dehydration or an electrolyte drift. Taking this mixture can resolve the feeling in 10 minutes.
And the final step in this cycle is emotion labeling and release.
Once you realize the feeling isn't in your stomach, you ask the next question. If this feeling had a voice, what is it actually scared of? What does it want?
And the answers are usually things like boredom, loneliness, overwhelm.
Almost always. And once you label that underlying feeling, I feel overwhelmed, the emotion peaks and then it usually subsides on its own within about 90 seconds. You're allowing the emotion to exist without using food to suppress it.
This all hinges on being consistent, so we need a mental model to keep it all going. Let's move to part 4, the philosophy that makes discipline automatic.
Here we turn to Stoicism, but updated for modern neuroscience. We have to distinguish what we control from what we don't. You control your attention, your judgment, and your next action.
But you don't control the initial spike in ghrelin, your hunger hormone, or your baseline dopamine.
You don't. Which brings us to the second dart analogy. We cannot stop the first arrow. That's the physiological signal, the craving, that's outside your control.
But the second dart.
The second dart is entirely optional. The second dart is the story you tell yourself about the first one. It's the inner monologue. This is unbearable. I deserve this. I'll be good tomorrow.
So the practice is to feel the first arrow, the physical sensation, and then consciously stop yourself from firing the second one, the self-judgment.
That is the sovereignty we're aiming for. Now, how do we make this pause automatic? We have to speed through the stages of competence. Most people quit in stage 3. Conscious competence.
That's where it works, but it takes a ton of effort. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, and that's why people fail. The whole point of these microactions is to stack hundreds of tiny wins to rocket you through stage 3 and into stage 4. Unconscious competence.
The land of autopilot, where the healthy choice becomes effortless.
And to automate that, we use if-then scripts or implementation intentions. So stop setting vague goals like, I'll try to resist snacking.
Because the brain struggles with that. It requires fresh energy every time.
Exactly. Instead, you use a specific script. When I feel the 3 p.m. slump, then I will immediately do 15 push-ups and drink salted sparkling water.
You're bypassing the energy bottleneck. The brain just follows the script when the trigger arrives.
And finally, the invisible hand. Environment. Your environment is making 1,000 decisions for you. Willpower should never be your first line of defense.
We have to make the default action the healthy one. So organize your fridge so the good food is at eye level. Use grayscale mode on your phone. Put your charger across the room so you have to get up in the morning.
Your environment is always running in the background. When you step into the danger zone, your willpower will fail. Your environment won't.
Okay, for those taking this to the next level, specifically with intermittent fasting, let's look at part 5, advanced hunger mastery and the hormonal cascade.
You should view the changes during a fast as training checkpoints. The first phase, 0 to 12 hours, is mostly about falling insulin. You'll feel mild boredom, maybe some habit hunger.
And the response there is simple, hydration and movement.
Right. Then you hit the next phase, 12 to 18 hours. This is the ghrelin peak. This is where you get that sharp, I should eat now signal.
This is the toughest part.
It's the most intense, so your response needs to be sophisticated. This is where you use the body scan to verify where the feeling is, and emotion labeling to see what's really going on underneath.
And then the payoff phase, 18 to 24 hours.
This is when ketones start to rise, and you often get that mental clarity, that mild euphoria. That's the time to capitalize on it. Use a cold exposure dose to maximize the feeling, open your victory log, and stack the proof of what you're capable of.
And finally, a safety mechanism, the rule of 3 for breaking protocol.
You should only ever break a protocol intentionally, not emotionally. Never rely on just one signal. You only break if 3 independent signals agree.
Which are?
1, clear physical weakness, not just desire. 2, your mood deteriorates, like serious irritability for more than 2 hours, even after you've used your microactions. And 3, a real-life demand for high glucose, like a critical presentation or intense physical labor.
If only 1 or 2 signals fire, you stick with it. You need all 3.
That's right. This whole system, the quiet forge, it's all built on compound interest. Every time you insert that 10-breath pause, you are functionally thickening your prefrontal cortex.
And every time you label a craving, you weaken the neural pathway that used to own you.
The forge runs 204/7. It turns every moment of friction into raw material for the identity you've decided to build.
This gives you undeniable evidence of who you are now, not just who you wish you were.
One of the sources notes that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your pauses.
So our challenge to you is this. Identify one situation you habitually fail in. Maybe it's reaching for your phone at 9 p.m. or grabbing that extra coffee. Commit to using the 10-breath rule in that specific moment just once in the next 24 hours. That pause, that's your 300 millisecond window to get your sovereignty back. Good luck.